and ecosystem builders. Yeah, so it's also an instrument of systemic open innovation that we deploy and use together with partners. Now, as Deep Ecosystems, we specialize in ecosystem building capabilities. We have a big track record of our own experiences, experiences that we share in our community. We have more than 50 hubs at the moment. We have worked with over 80 overall. We have several hundred individual members that are innovation managers, accelerator managers, ecosystem builders. And we use these collected capabilities and make them available to our members so that they can, in their context, in their region, based on their specific vertical, deploy our capabilities as a community to make sure that the community helps each initiative, each hub to achieve what they want to achieve. So for example, if you are looking for sourcing startups, then Deep Ecosystem can help you to deploy with a big database of companies, of startups that you can tap into. There's tools, expertise, a research team that can help you, and you can become a leader in your field, in your area, by using our capabilities. This is how we work as an organization, as a community. Together we are growing. Now, this was about Deep Ecosystems so far. If you have a question, I don't see if you're raising your hand, so you can just unmute yourself, turn on your camera. Seeing nobody so far protesting or asking a question, I can just move on with the presentation. So Shivam from AltF asked me today to dive a little bit into the types of funding that are attractive for startup founders, understanding that many of your participants of the AltF Summit, the Alternate Future Summit, are coming from a student background or are entrepreneurs or are considering entrepreneurs, right? And an important topic, of course, I don't know how the other workshops went, but an important topic is always also looking into funding. Now, traditional ways of funding in the startup world could be, especially when you look at the Silicon Valley model, venture capital, right? When you have a business model, when you have a technology, when you have a pitch deck and say, I'm going to build the next Facebook or the next SpaceX, and you talk to investors, I don't know, 1, 10, 100, 1,000, but at some point you find an investor who says, I believe in you, I like your business model, I want to get in, and they buy a share of your company in return for funding. That's the VC funding model. Let's say this is the traditional way, but there's also other ways, alternative ways of getting funding. And today, especially, we wanted to focus on non-dilutive funding. What does that mean? Non-dilutive means that you do not have to sell a share, a stake of your own company. You don't have to get in a partner or an investor as part of the board, as part of the owner, shareholder group. But you get funding sometimes that you have to pay back, for example, with a credit or with an investment that doesn't require a stake. Or it can also even be a grant, something that is money that you can just take and use but never have to pay back. And this is especially attractive for startups or small companies if you are not planning to bring in an investor and if you're planning to use this capital, this funding, to build your own company without losing control. This would be non-dilutive funding. There's many insider terms in the VC, in the startup world, that I also had to learn very hard. But once you understand what this is about, it's quite easy to understand, and you don't need to speak the VC or startup language if you just understand what this is about. So non-dilutive funding is money that somebody gives you so that you can build your company. And what kinds of startup funding, non-dilutive startup funding, can you find out there in the real world? Just some basic categories, these 5. So the first one would be grants. Again, would be non-repayable funds that, for example, a foundation, a government, international organization provides for startups free of cost, right? They say, we have 25,000 euros, 50,000 euros, 500,000 euros, who wants it? And then, of course, there would be terms and conditions on how to get it, but they give it to companies. Competition awards, this can be something like, a competition, right? So there is a prize money around a certain challenge, a certain topic, and you can apply with your team, with your technology, with your business model. Normally this involves pitching on a stage, or this involves some sort of competition where you say, I have the best idea, I can change the world, right? Depending on the context and the specific call. But the winner or the winners would get then prize money. This is also oftentimes to be seen. So here, if you see this, you can practice your pitching skills, and there's a chance of winning real money. Then you have incubators and accelerators. These can be privately organized as independent accelerators. It can be, for example, attached also to universities. So these days, almost no university you can find without an entrepreneurship program. Many universities are jumping on the trend that started maybe some 20 years ago to build accelerators to help their staff and their students to take new ideas in terms of technologies, in terms of business models, and translate them into real businesses. Sometimes they do this free of charge as a service, or sometimes they also take a stake in the companies. This helps to translate research or technology research through real world impact. So we also call them technology transfer programs, transferring science and research into real world businesses. And these incubators and accelerators, no matter where they come from, public, private, university or non-university, they do offer support. Oftentimes, or almost all of them help you in some way or another in terms of mentorship, networking, maybe blueprints, advice, experience, and so on, but also funding. So you see many accelerator programs that have that select startups and, for example, invest 25,000, 50,000 euros in each of them, no matter what they do. And this is some money that you can take and invest into a company. Yeah, the last two categories are also around. You might also see something like a tax credit or a visa support program connected with some cash payments. So you see some programs, for example, that take you in, like Startup Chile did, or I think is still doing. It's a program that goes global, and you can apply with your company as an entrepreneur, and they pay you for a couple of months a small stipend to pay yourself living there in Chile. But you can, of course, use this program also to pay the costs that your company has, or pay yourself as a founder. And lastly, innovation loans. So this is something that you might have to pay back, or probably have to pay back. But many businesses, many governments, local or international, they do have specific programs for new companies, for startups, for founders, where you can get, with relatively good conditions, a loan, and then use that for your company. Now, these are some examples. Many of them are, I think, in the European context. So I don't know if you're connecting globally, then these kinds of mapping might look different. But if you are a founder in Europe and you have some sort of flexibility in mind in terms of where to start your business or where you're based, you can find programs like these ones that might be able to give you money. So if you don't know any of these and you're based in Europe, you should start your research and try to find out more about them, to find out how funding looks like. And being from deep ecosystems, I also wanted to share with you this opportunity that we have on our website on startupheatmap.eu. So the Startup Heatmap is one of our projects. It's a research-based data platform, open for all, that we provide for free to founders, to investors, to governments, helping to understand what makes a city and a place interesting for startups. So it's the heat map showing trends or opportunities for ecosystems across Europe and even beyond, in terms of attractivity and in terms of support structure, in terms of attractiveness for new startups in their city. And one feature that is very important is also this subset of our data on funding opportunities for startups. So you can find this on the website if you go to startupheatmap.eu. and then /open for business, or you can just find it here under data, under find. Then you will see our list of startup funding opportunities. And let me see if I can just quickly share this website with you. So you have seen it once also in operation. So I will share my screen 1 second. Okay, so this is our website, startupheatmap.eu, open for business. I will also share this in the chat briefly. There you go. And as a startup founder, here in this database, it's a basic, simple list. You can even download it with entries for funding. You can filter for example, regional focus. If you're based in Amsterdam, you can filter only for funding opportunities for startups, for companies based in Amsterdam. There's a type of opportunities. Sometimes, if you're not looking for funding, it could also be a networking opportunity to talk to corporates and so on. If you want to join an accelerator program, in our case, we want to look for funding. Yeah, you can also filter for more deadlines and so on. But in our case, looking for funding opportunities, this is a basic, simple list of funding opportunities for startups. You can see the deadline. There's some in November, still others coming up maybe December, January. For example, if you're based in Berlin, you can click here and find out about Berlin Startup Stipendium. It's a scholarship for startups that are based in Berlin, all want to move to Berlin. You can read a little bit background, and then you can go straight to the link and start applying here, read more about the conditions and so on. Yeah, so I warmly recommend to check out our database. Also interesting for other opportunities like events, networking opportunities, accelerator programs, and so on. This is updated regularly. You can also, if you're an organizer or if you're part of a community, of course, add your own opportunity to a simple type form. It's free of cost. We can also help you to promote it with a small budget if you have it. Otherwise, it will just show up in the list for free. You can share your opportunity and it will be listed on our database. Now I will go back to the presentation. Yeah, one specific topic that is kind of new also for me, but might be interesting depending on your business model. So more and more crypto ecosystems, yeah, so ecosystems that are decentralized based on token, blockchain, or Web3, DAO, or crypto technology, no matter, yeah, you can call it how you want it. Decentralized tokens, decentralized ledgers. There is many ecosystems in the world that organize around this new technology. The most famous one, I think, is blockchain. This one organizes around digital currency based on the blockchain technology. But there's many other projects out there in the world that have very interesting, very innovative, very revolutionary ambitions, and they try to build communities that use their tokens, that use their platform, and try to think about applications, business models, further develop the coding, further develop technology inside this community. So many of these crypto ecosystems, they organize also with some sort of foundations, yeah, so blockchain foundations, you can call them, that are looking actively for coders, for founders, for entrepreneurs that want to go and join their ecosystem, deploy and use their technology, and do their magic basically inside this specific ecosystem. And the good story is they don't expect you to do this for free, but they have calls for grants. Oftentimes, of course, in the token currencies, right? But this is more and more. I mean, I don't have to explain this to you. This is real money. It's just not under the control of the euro or the dollar ecosystem. It's just a different token, a different type of currency. But you can work with it. You can pay developers. You can pay server costs, you can pay, I don't know, other expenses you can pay yourself on blockchain. You can use blockchain and other currencies, digital currencies, cryptocurrencies in many contexts. So as a founder, you can find foundations that are actively calling for you, wanting to give you money to develop your business, your technology inside the ecosystem. This is also, let's say, accompanied by also other resources, non-financial resources. You can join a community, you can tap into expertise from fellow coders and founders. You can get support from the core developers of this technology. And maybe you can also find partners that might invest further in you. So this is very interesting if you are somehow into this crypto world, right? So, I mean, if you're having a startup that, I don't know, develops a new medicine and you don't touch crypto at all, then maybe this is not relevant. But more and more startups that are working with crypto technologies, they should be looking into these new types, non-traditional types of funding around crypto ecosystems. Yeah, and I don't want to go into details. I just wanted to recommend this article. I will also share it in the chat. Here you can have a quick look into 15 grants that might be relevant for you if you're in the crypto world. I will make sure to share that in the chat as a good starter point. And if you learn more about this, I would also like to find out more. So you can share your experiences. I would be super interested to hear from you via email or by LinkedIn in a call, and you can connect with me and tell me how it went with you with the crypto grants. Otherwise, this is my last slide already. So we are a community of ecosystem builders. Many of us have also founded companies before. So if you're an entrepreneur, maybe now or in the future, you might also think about, hey, how can I help other entrepreneurs in my region, in my hometown, in my city, in my vertical to be successful, to learn from my experiences. If you have this kind of feeling in you, you're already halfway there to becoming an ecosystem builder. So many times successful ecosystem building initiatives, they evolve around what founders have to say, or are even initiated or supported by startup founders that are still actively in the company or that may have exited, right? So the connection between startup founding and startup ecosystem building is very short. And I encourage you, if you want to find out more about this, to visit us and join us at our next events or to sign up at deepecosystems.com. Now, I will stop sharing. I will post the links in the chat. I'm open for questions. I would also go back to the moderator to see if there's any questions. But from my side, thank you very much for your attention. I'm available here for questions. And while you maybe think about the questions, I will share in the chat the links. And if you have a question in the chat, I can also read that. Okay, so there's a question. Shiva, thank you. I haven't seen you, but thanks for the comment. Great session. Appreciate it. Question from Isabella. How important is the project scalability and social impact when applying for grants? Yeah, as any question, you can answer that with, that depends. Sorry to be like that. No, but in the end, it comes down to the specific call, because there is not one universal category of grants that matches all startups or all projects. But it depends. If you're going to a foundation that supports wildlife protection and biodiversity, then probably your fintech startup is not a good match unless it's somehow related to their goals. Yeah. So if you have money and give it away, you say what people should use the money for. Normally, there is no money that is not attached to a cause or to specific terms and conditions. And yes, more and more, it's also my own conviction personally, if you have a business model that is not related to scalability in terms of it can have revolutionary, fast, and big impact, and social impact. If you say, I'm doing a business, I'm starting a business, but I don't care what happens to the people, then I think that's wrong, right? So you should consider definitely impact What does your startup do? What is your technology helping to the people and to the planet? Otherwise, if you're not contributing to making our life on this planet and for humanity and for everything here that we have, if you don't make it better, then you're not doing it right. And one more question from Andre. Are there specific industries or sectors that are seeing more funding opportunities than others? Yes, there are. So yeah, you can also find these kinds of trends on our startup heatmap database. We have a tracker for what kind of technologies are currently hot, right? In terms of meetings, in terms of debate, in terms of presence in blogs, and in terms of presence in online discussions. So we kind of see also what topics are currently trending. We have quarterly reports for our partners where we say this trend in your city is now getting big. Globally speaking, I think right now everybody is still talking about AI, so artificial intelligence. Yeah, no matter if you're doing something for real or not, I don't want to be cynical, but if you say my project applies AI, then you get more people to listen to you than if you say I have a big database, right? So AI is a big trend, I think. And otherwise in the EU, everything that is called deep tech, right? So deep technologies related to advanced digital technologies in various fields. This is also relevant. Globally speaking, I would say most important, I think, is everything that's related to climate sustainability, because I think that's going to be the biggest problem in the next couple of decades, as we see now more and more problems with extreme weather events. So if I was a founder, I would say the next 5, 10, or 50, 100 years, if we don't get our shit together in the climate, protection of the climate, then we're doing something wrong. So I hope more and more investors also jump on that. Now, time-wise, yes, up. The half hour is over.
Yes.
I see no more questions. And I would say thank you very much for hosting this and hand back to you.
Thank you very much for the time and always being like available for us. So thank you very much. Yes,
Just before
thank
I
you
go, I
everyone
will also
for
share my
coming.
my LinkedIn in the chat.
Yep.
I would be happy to connect with everyone. You can also find me in the LinkedIn event page, or otherwise reach out to the organizers who are our members and good friends from Alt-F Get Boarded. Thanks from my side.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming and attending this wonderful workshop. And this concludes the workshop week that we had planned. So thank you everyone for attending. If you have attended all 5, then thank you very much to keep this alive. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.